research on the chronic inhaler, and I found out that there were steroids in it, and that I don't want her taking steroids. I did research on some of the potential side effects and some of the health problems that can result from taking steroids, and I just don't want her to take those at all. I don't want her exposed to them at all. And then let me just go ahead and lay this out right now, because I'm sure it'll come up, but I do smoke, but I make sure that I do not smoke around her, so that I make sure that it does not affect her. So just want to let you know that right off the bat.
Well, it sounds like you care about Sarah a great deal. You don't want her using steroids. You're worried about what kind of effects those would have on her, and you're working hard to keep your smoking away from her so it doesn't affect her asthma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Would you mind if we talked a little bit about the chronic inhaler and the medicine that you're concerned about with the steroids? Because I certainly don't want her using a medicine that has steroids in it, like the ones that you're worried about for athletes. Can we talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Even though this medicine is in the medicine that's in this is in the same broad family as the steroids you're worried about, and those are called anabolic steroids, which build people up and have masculinizing effects. Mm-hmm. If I can draw an analogy, again, even though this medicine's in the same family as those, big, broad family, if I could draw an analogy, a grape and a watermelon are in the same family of fruits, and obviously a grape is much smaller than a watermelon, and if you eat one grape, be fine. If you ate an entire watermelon, it could make you very sick. If we look at the grape as the medicine your daughter's taking, again, it's in the same broad family. The amount of drug that your daughter is getting is very small. And not only that, it's not an anabolic steroid, even though it's in the same big family. And what this drug does is actually reduces the inflammation in your daughter's lungs. And it doesn't even get absorbed into the body. It only goes to her lungs. And as I said, I wouldn't want your daughter taking a medication that could have the impact of those anabolic steroids. This is really safe for your daughter to use. So what are your thoughts about considering having her using this?
Well, I guess I didn't realize that they weren't the same thing as the anabolic steroids, which are the ones that cause all the problems and everything. So if you can assure me that it's not going to have those same side effects and health problems that those do?
Definitely would not. I mean, probably you saw the name corticosteroid and thought, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and that does concern people, but I do want to reassure you that this is medication that only goes to her lungs and won't get in her body, and they're not the same kind of drugs as the ones you're worried about. Do you mind if I talk to you a little bit about what your daughter's lungs are like when she's having these inflammations and needing to go to the emergency room?
Yeah.
Okay, when somebody has asthma, their lungs are like hypersensitive. If I could use an analogy again, if you had the skin burnt off your arm, if somebody brushed up against you before you had the skin burned off your arm, it wouldn't bother you at all, but when the skin's burned off your arm, you literally react to it. Her lungs are exquisitely sensitive. And like the skin on your arm would be if the skin got burned off. And what this drug can do, this chronic inhaler, is reduce the inflammation in her lungs so that her lungs don't remain exquisitely sensitive. Because otherwise, everything in the air, like dust, pollen, reacts with her in ways that it would not normally affect us.
Oh, okay.
And so this chronic inhaler can really prevent that from happening. Okay, which is why it's so important to use it. The other thing I was going to tell you is that unfortunately, even though you are smoking outside and keeping the smoke away from her, the smoke on your clothes, because her lungs are so sensitive, can also affect her lungs and cause her to have a reaction. Now, something I'd like you to think about is that if you use the chronic inhaler every day, she may not be sensitive to the smoke on your clothes, but she still may be, because her lungs are just very different than ours. Honestly, I'd love to see you quit smoking for you too, because, as you know, it's not real good for you.
Yeah.
And it would certainly help her. But what I'd like you to do is to kind of keep an eye on what happens when she uses the chronic inhaler, and if she's still flaring up when you're around her, if there is smoke on your clothes, because it can flare her up.
Oh, even when it's just on my clothes, so she's that sensitive. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it may not when she uses the chronic inhaler. but you'll need to keep an eye on that. Obviously, what would be best if it didn't get on your clothes or you quit smoking.
Right. So would it help? You know, the thought of quitting smoking is a pretty daunting aspect. I mean, I know people have tried to quit, and it's really difficult. You know. So I know it would be better.
Very hard. It's very relaxing, and it's hard to replace it with something. So
it is.
Any thoughts on what you may be able to do to help at this point if you don't choose to quit right away?
Well, I was thinking since it affects her that it's on my clothes, if I only smoked while she was at school and then changed my clothes before she came home, would that help?
Oh, that sounds like it would be great if you were able to do that. Obviously, don't smoke in the house. You know.
Oh, absolutely. I never.
So. Yeah, if you're willing to do that, that certainly would help. And again, if you get to the point sometime down the road where you're willing to quit for both you and her, we'd be glad to help you do that. Because you're right, it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
So it sounds like right now where we are is you're willing to have her use the chronic inhaler, try to get the inflammation down so she doesn't need to go to the emergency room, and do whatever you can at this point to keep the smoke off your clothes. And I think you're going to see big changes in terms of her not needing to go to the emergency room. And you probably won't need to use the rescue inhaler hardly at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because you'll get that inflammation down.
Oh, that's great, because that's always scary when she has to use that. And
yeah. So we'll go ahead and get both of those prescriptions ready. Use the chronic inhaler every day. Keep the rescue inhaler around if she needs it. And let's see how that works.
Okay. That sounds good.
All right, good. But here's my point. What she ends up doing when this is all done is the actress ended up saying, I'm not ready to quit smoking, but I would be willing to change my clothes before my daughter comes home from school and not smoke until after she goes to school. The actual woman in the clinic said, if my smoking is making her flare up like that, I want to quit. Okay? Now, and it may not always turn out like that, but 6 minutes. Let me tell you the moral of the story. The moral of the story is 2 years after, and that's after I'd left Auburn, her daughter had not been in the emergency room one time. Now, here's my question. The first one took 2 minutes. This took 6 minutes. But it didn't take 6 minutes, did it? How many other people have been dealing with this woman in the healthcare? 10 trips to the emergency room. The pharmacists have been dealing with her multiple times. If this had been done up front, 6 minutes, remember we were talking about time, can you live with 6 minutes to get those results? I mean, that's huge. That's huge. Why did it work? Develop rapport so that when I started giving her information, when I acknowledged what she was trying to do, the information became an extension of that caring rather than a way to put her in her place. How many of you, can see this working? Okay. Okay, so very, very quickly, because I don't want to run over on my time, to just wrap up. So there was the case study. So, in summary, we want to know, what does the person know and understand about their illness and treatment? Because without that, we don't know what to tell them. What is the patient's understanding of what can happen? If they don't think that there's any risk, it's not important. Why would they do anything, right? What options are available to the patient? Because, how many of you agree with me? If we're treating a patient with diabetes, it can't just be drug therapy, right? So we've got to take a holistic approach. What do they want to work on first? We want to respond to their sense-making, ask the patient to reconsider how they're making sense of the situation by giving them new information, respond with empathy and caring throughout, and be very explicit. We don't just look at patients and say, right, I hear you, you obviously care. We tell them explicitly what we're seeing so they know we know. Everyday English is not like that. Everyday English is cut short. We need to make sure they know that we get it. We want to stay in the spirit. Evidence, we did a study for Biogen. We actually used an MI intervention, did a treatment group and a control group, reduced the dropout rate on Avonex from 13% to 1.3%. That was a savings of $93 million overall to Biogen. just by a 4-month motivational interviewing intervention. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, we did 3 years of training with nurse case managers and reduced their per patient per month by $220 for hundreds of thousands of lives. And finally, Group Health out of Seattle, we did a training for complex case managers. They had a goal of 961 open cases, because an open case meant the patient was actively in the system, actively working on their illnesses. Their goal was 961. We took them from 527 to 1,141 open cases in 3 months because of MI, right? And the last slide is just folks that I've suggested reading. Hopefully in August, the biggest suggested reading will be the book that Bill and I write, that Bill and I have coming out.